Welcome back to Arkansas Basketball Recap, where we recap every Arkansas basketball games, even the bad ones, even the ones you don't feel good about, which is one that we had to start SEC play this morning. Arkansas falls to the number one ranked Tennessee Volunteers at Tennessee on the road, home or a road opener. They lose 76 to 52 and just got absolutely decimated on the glass. Uh, it was a little bit of a frustrating game to watch because the rebounding disparity was so bad. But the reality is, you score 52 points on the road, you're not going to win many games doing that. And that was the real problem, is we just couldn't make shots, and we gave them 16 more shots than we took because of the how many offensive rebounds we gave them. And so those 16 shots turned into quite a large defeat for the Razorbacks. And they didn't play great. I actually thought that defensively we did good. I mean, I know rebounding statistics are part of your defensive efficiency and all that, and we didn't do well on the glass. But we did well on ball pressure. They played hard on defense. They made some mistakes on defense early. Carter Knox didn't know what he was doing a couple of times. He seemed to settle down a little bit, but Boogie Flan played really, really aggressive defense on Ziegler and was making him pick up his dribble when he didn't want to, way far away from the basket, and that was all good stuff. We just couldn't score at the clip we needed to. We just didn't make shots, and we didn't rebound, and that's really, I mean, there's a lot to talk about. But the story of the game is we didn't make shots and we didn't rebound well enough to make this game competitive.
Yeah, and we should, I mean, because we're in a weird place here, if you hear weird ambient noise, there's like 26 kids running around out there. Table Rock Lake behind us. This is our other brother,
One of them. One of them.
one of them, Josiah Bobo Price. Um, yeah, I mean, obviously we're at some family get together here. That game, I mean, obviously, just like any game, there's a lot of different ways you can look at it. There's a pessimistic way you can look at it, and that might be closer to the truth. And then there's an way to look at it. And at the end of the season, that may be closer to the truth. I mean, and I would say it's disappointing because Tennessee did some things well, but I don't think that was Tennessee's actually, unfortunately, that wasn't Tennessee's A game. We always talk about, like, if you have a 1 to 10 ability of playing, like Arkansas played like a 3 or a 4. Like, they didn't really do anything well. Wagner and Boogie both played okay. And I would say Boogie particularly played pretty good considering the lack of help that those two guys were getting. If you were paying attention, he was really fighting over screens, trying to play good defense, and most of the breakdowns did not occur from him. And again, he didn't turn the ball over a lot,
Yeah.
and against good defense. But if you look at the percentage of shooting and stuff, Tennessee didn't just shoot the hell out of the ball or turn us over a ton. What they did well is they did obviously rebound well. And by the way, most of that came from not, I mean, they all rebounded well, but
We gave up 18 rebounds to Milicek.
to one guy. Yeah. And if you even cut that in half, the rebounding looks a lot more, a lot closer. They shot okay, better than we did from the 3-point line. But basically they played a 6 or a 7 for them. And it's unfortunate because I think Tennessee's probably right now, obviously Tennessee is statistically and the eyeball test a better team than Arkansas, but a team that Arkansas is capable of beating. Now on the road is going to be a heavy lift, but if they performed at a 7, if we had performed at a 9, we probably could have beat them. And instead we performed at like a 3 or a 4. And like I said, if you want to be optimistic about it, there's things you can look at, like I said, we just missed a lot of open shots. It wasn't like their defense was good, but we still had opportunities. And some of our woes on offense, and this is the negative part from my perspective, is some of the woes on offense were not just their good defense. Like, we looked back to where we were talking about at the beginning of the season, they looked a little sloppy, a little confused. It took a little while to get into what they wanted to, and eventually a lot of even the buckets we did get turned into well, we're late in the shot clock. There's 8 seconds left and nothing's happening. We don't have time to reset things up. So Wagner or Boogie or someone's just going to have to put their head down
Yeah.
and, go in there and throw something up. We didn't get, to take Tennessee's credit, I mean, we didn't get a ton of good looks, but we didn't make the ones that we did get. I mean, we had several threes that you were like, man, you're not going to get a better shot than that in this game,
Yeah.
and they mostly doinked out of out of there.
Yeah. You're not gonna. Well, yeah. You're not gonna beat Tennessee at Tennessee if Thero has 6 points. That's not gonna work.
Yeah,
And it wasn't even that he played bad or anything. Like they but he's in it now. Like he's playing against teams with big, strong dudes and stuff. And he was in foul trouble a little bit, but he's gonna have to adjust. He'll be fine, but that's not gonna work. Bobo,
I don't.
thoughts
I
on the
don't. I
game?
think that you could probably take the terrible performance and offensive rebounding. Even with that, they still turned Tennessee over and like never capitalized on it.
yeah,
So even with all of that, I think you still could have been. It still could have been easily a 10-point game if you 50% of the time were scoring off of turnovers. Even when we did get offensive rebounds, we'd never made, we were kicking it
Mm.
back out, missing the three again, stuff like that. I mean, it was a bad day for us. I mean, it was a bad game. Got beat by a better team at home. I mean, to me, I wasn't like super disappointed. I was just like, yeah, you're getting beat. You're going to get beat today because
Yeah.
you're not doing anything right.
I expected to lose. I mean, that's I think we can say that. Like, I expected to lose this game. Like, if
Mm.
you're playing the number one team in their gym, they're supposed to win.
winning would have been, I mean, an absolute. I mean, it would have been amazing. It would have been boon. It would have been like, okay, we're setting a precedent for the season. That's great. Yeah, I wouldn't say I expected to. I would say overall, I was disappointed in that performance. I mean, you don't want to lose like teams that hope to be not. I'm not talking about like make the tournament. I still think Arkansas is very capable of making the tournament, although more to come on that. Like, because while I think they will, somebody in the SEC is going to be on the bottom, and if a team full of really good players plays like that, you're going to be that team where people go, man, they got a lot of talent on that team, but the SEC is just rough and they could not put it together
Yeah.
and they just lost all these games. And that's not the performance that we put out there was not what you were hoping for. If you lost by 12, to them, it's like, yeah, okay. And if you played okay, maybe you'd be a little disappointed in that rebounding. You don't want to get beat by 25, really, honestly, by anybody if you are hoping to progress in the season
Yeah.
and be one of the top teams. Like I said, I'm not necessarily yet concerned about our postseason prospects because, I mean, that performance, you can basically wipe it away, and we'll see what happens at the end of the year. But I mean, it's not a good start. I mean, there's just no way about it. Like you would hope to, like I said, even play them to 15. You don't want to lose to anyone by
Yeah.
25 if you have high expectations for your team.
No, and we've talked about it before. I mean, this SEC, uh, with this gauntlet of teams, you got to win at home, and so Tennessee did that and convincingly, and in some ways, like maybe I think it's better to. I don't mind starting this way. Like you started SEC play with a with a game that you weren't supposed to win. You didn't win. Maybe you didn't like your performance, but you got punched in the mouth. You're like, hey, this is what it's going to be like in this SEC schedule. I'd rather find that out against Tennessee at Tennessee than like Old Miss at Bud Walton.
Mm.
And so like you're like, all right, guys, they're going to go back and be like, hey, we're gonna have to rebound better than that. We're gonna have to change some things, fix some things, and uh, and you might as well learn that lesson in a game that you're supposed to lose. Rather than you know, uh, someone coming into your own place and beating you and learning that way because they got Ole Miss next, and you got Florida, and I'd rather learn it against Tennessee and try to win games at home because I think that with the SEC schedule the way it is, and I think this goes for all SEC teams. Some are going to be better than others, and they're going to win games on the road and everything. But like the most important thing for all of these teams is to win their home games. I mean, if you hold serve at home, you're going to the tournament.
Mm.
Yeah. No, and it's not like you lost to Mississippi State at home by 25. I mean,
No.
definitely, but if you go back 3 years ago, I remember sitting, like at work and stuff and having the guys, like Arkansas does what all teams do. And we have a bunch of cupcake games at the beginning of the year and everyone goes and looks at the schedule and you're looking at rankings and you're like, oh man, Kentucky is, when Calipari's there, it's like, oh man, Kentucky's really good. They're blowing everybody out. And then like midway through the season, you just kind of glance at scores and be like, oh man, Kentucky's falling apart. That whole young guy thing isn't working for Calipari anymore. But then we get to March and it's like, oh, they're a 9 seed.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow they won enough games and now they're a dangerous team. And I hope that's the best case for us, is that that's what that is it takes them a little while to get, you're playing not, but our schedule at the beginning, the thing that frustrates me with it is we scheduled the right teams at the beginning of the year, like playing Illinois and playing Baylor. It's like you had your chance, you knew what was coming, and that kind of sucks. But I do think Tennessee looks like they're one of the best teams in the country.
Well,
Yeah, for sure.
We've said that from the beginning. The thing, it's not. We still don't have a loss that you're like, well, now it's time to start panicking. This team is,
No,
but
no.
Still, you still don't
but
have
you
it.
don't.
You still
you
don't.
have,
You
you
still
don't have
don't.
a win.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, the Michigan win's going to age really well. I think. I think Michigan's going to be a really good
There's
team.
still not a win on
They're-
like.
yeah, that win's going to be. That's a good win. Here's the thing, though. You have 0 bad losses. Like, so the loss against Illinois is not a bad loss. The loss to Baylor is not a bad loss. Now, you don't want them, but they're not bad losses. You don't have, like, I don't know, like getting blown out by 20 to Ohio State. You don't have that loss yet. You know what I mean?
From Kentucky. Was that on the road or at home?
I don't. I think it was a neutral site.
Okay.
I don't know.
But
I just know like there's like all this glee and all this like we told you so going to be going on. I'm just saying like we have that's losing by 20 to Ohio State is worse than anything that's happened to us. And and listen, Kentucky fans, congratulations on beating Florida. Keep giving up 100 points a game, all SEC, and show me your record at the end of the season. I'd love to see it. But
I think didn't Illinois beat Oregon the other night badly, didn't they? In Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's not even a bad loss at that point. I mean,
No,
that was a good team.
like I said, none of these losses are bad. But to what you were saying earlier, the point is we still. So I'm not jumping on the panic button by any of these losses yet, but we also haven't taken any of the opportunities that we've been given to really, like you said, the Michigan is the only one, but even that
it was a ranked Michigan team.
it is, but like it was a neutral site,
Yeah.
and no one at the point we're still not sure how good Michigan really is. With like if we beat Tennessee at home, that's a statement.
I'll be shocked if Michigan doesn't make the tournament.
This is why I would like hedge on. Over beating my chest towards Kentucky. Although, I mean, obviously,
I'm
I know.
joking. I'm joking.
But they're not going to be joking. But what I'm saying is, they have signature wins.
Yeah,
they beat Gonzaga and they beat Duke. We don't have other than Michigan. We don't have that yet.
Mhm.
And so I think they have reason to believe more. Obviously, I mean, obviously with their ranking and
and by the way, I mean. Florida, I mean, it was at home. You were at home, so Kentucky's at home, so you need to win that game. But that's still a huge win. I mean, Florida comes in ranked the 6th team in the country. Kentucky's ranked 10. You think that being at home can probably make up that difference or whatever, and it did. That's a huge win. Like that's a great way to start. You want to start your SEC season that way.
Yeah, I mean, basically, just because me and Bobo have been playing this golf arcade game that's in the basement of this Airbnb, but I mean, what we had today is Kentucky had a pretty favorable drive and made a good shot, which they expected to. We had a really scary, probably we were like, I probably can't get this. There's water on both sides, the holes in the middle.
Yeah.
And we were like, but you still think, well, I could get it on there. And then you go in the water and you're like, well, that's a bummer. But next, like if we lose to somebody at home, like if we lose to Ole Miss at home, that's going to be like, now we're, the easy par 3 with no traps. We hit it into the bushes.
By the way, not that Ole Miss is easy because there aren't any easy SEC games. But again, it could be because it's at home. You have to win that game.
Yeah, I think that's going to be, like you said earlier, the number one thing. No one's going to be allowed to lose at home. Like if you lose 2 games at home, you have to make up those on the road. That's probably not going to happen.
Well, like I said, there's going to be a very, very good team.
Like Auburn might be able to do it. Tennessee might be able to do it.
No, there's going to be a very good team in the SEC, and maybe more than one that has a terrible record and loses all their close games, loses to great teams at home, and they're genuinely not a bad team, but they have a terrible record. And that's why I'm saying, like, obviously, losing to Ole Miss, what are they ranked right now? 14 or
don't know.
24, I think, or 23 or something.
I think
20s.
I think they're ranked higher than us.
We're ranked 23. I don't know what Ole Miss is ranked
Anyway,
right now.
but they if we lose to them, I mean, it's not like obviously I've watched us lose to an Ole Miss that was ranked lower than us at our.
It's still not a no. It's still not a bad loss because there aren't any bad losses.
But it's a devastating
but
record
you can't have
loss.
it. But you can't have it.
And this year, like I said, it doesn't matter how good the team in front of you is. They're all good, and there's going to become a point where, dude, you do not want to go down 0-2 in conference to start out because then you're going to Florida. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then shortly after that, you're going to, I mean, you're going to be at Kentucky before too long, and it will.
Yeah.
The Kentucky Arkansas sort of like minor rivalry that's happening just amongst the fans due to the coaching switch and stuff. It's going to hopefully play out back and forth throughout the season. Right now, it's like bully to them. They're going to have bragging rights and be up in the comments and just have the right to brag, and good for them. And it could shift, but if you lose to Ole Miss, you're like, well, you are started. It's like it's not that the season's slipping away, but I mean, you are on the back foot. You're putting yourself in a bad spot. I mean, so we're just saying the same thing over and over. But I will say, I mean, to give the criticism its due, for a guy that's as good a coach as Calipari is, that rebounding effort was disappointing. Like, you've got to, I don't know if you've got to do one of those drills where you have 8 different people chuck the ball up there and none of them are allowed to touch the ground, or you got to run sprints or whatever. Like, you've got to start doing something, because none of what that dude from Tennessee was doing is like, even when I mean, and this is the whole thing about rebounding. And I know this because this is all I can do in basketball is every time, it doesn't matter how disadvantaged you are, you don't know where the ball's going to bounce, and you have to force yourself around the person who's in front of you, fight to get down there, fight towards the ball. And not only were our guys not doing that, now, to be fair, a lot of Tennessee's misses were long rebounds, but it doesn't matter. Some of our own rebounds, one of them fell to the 3 free throw line, hit the floor at the free throw line. 2 of our guys were within 4 feet of that ball, and one of their players went in there and got it. I mean, you've got to, like I said, the guy from Tennessee, there was several times where he had no chance at getting the rebound. There were freaking 6 guys. His own players were in front of him. He still runs in and just slaps the ball out of bounds.
Yeah.
Like, he's just, I mean, that's what I do too. Like, you got to, every possession, it's a sacrifice. 80% of the time, you're not going to get the rebound. Obviously, somebody else is. You don't get all the rebounds. But if you don't try 100% of the time, you're going to get none of the rebounds. You know what I mean? Like, you have to try 100% of the times, or every time you don't try, you're missing the opportunity. The opportunity is always going to be there. You don't know where it's going to bounce. It doesn't matter how out of position you are. Attack the glass, and the basketball gods will deliver you a rebound every once in a while. Sometimes I mean, dude, I've had games and nothing is more frustrating when I'm trying really hard and I'm attacking the glass every time, and the ball just doesn't bounce your way. It goes, I mean, right where you were standing when you ran in. You actually zigged when you should have zagged. But you have to give the effort. Otherwise, you have no excuse, and you're just like, I mean, we got beat because we didn't try as hard as they did. Yeah. Not, like I said, missing the open shots is like, that's a bummer. We can shoot better than that. There's no excuse for not giving effort. Everybody can do that. Anyone with no athleticism can run into the glass when the ball leaves someone's hands.
Yeah, is it rebounding defense? Well, it's choice. I mean, if you're playing D1 basketball, you're plenty athletic to do whatever they ask you. So, yeah, if you're not, especially on offense, I mean, like if it's a defensive rebounding, it's just a choice. Like, are you going to do it or not?
And obviously, like the guy that one that Boogie shoots from the top of the very top, you don't rush in. You got to stay back to play defense if that's a long rebound. But the guys on the wings have to. And it also wasn't like Tennessee was getting tons of runouts and stuff. You know what I mean? I could see if you were like, man, they've got 10 fast break layups from us over crashing on the boards, but that wasn't happening.
Yeah.
Well, and you saw us like at the beginning of the game, you saw Boogie and them like penetrating, getting little floaters to fall. It's like almost we got into a little bit of a panic mode where it was like try to get an open three if you can.
But
That
we
that
shot
needs
too
to be
many threes.
first.
Yeah.
And then like they had plenty of time to do it slowly, but like we talked about before, you can do that if you're scoring off of turnovers
Mhm.
or rebounding and scoring. And every time we scored, they would come down and score. So we made no progress.
We also missed too many free throws. Not that it really mattered in this
Yeah.
game because we didn't miss so many that it would have made even really a dent in that differential. But we must have missed seven free
we shot
throws.
under 50% in the free throw line.
Yeah, that's just you
Yeah.
can't have that. Obviously, I mean,
Yeah. I will say this. All right, so like some positives though. This is like was like the one of the big tests for Boogie, I thought. 'Cause we kind of I don't know if we've said this on the podcast before, but at least privately we've said it that in a weird way, I think he's underrated. Like he's not getting as much national hype as he should. He is, second in the SEC in assists. I mean, he's leading all freshmen in assists and assist to turnover ratio in the country. He's averaging, I think, going into this game, he's averaging 17 points a game. I mean, he's playing out of his mind, and he's going up against maybe the best defensive guard in the country in Ziegler. Certainly the best defensive guard in the SEC in Ziegler, and I thought he looked fine. I thought I mean, in fact, like on that one-on-one battle, I thought Boogie bothered Ziegler more than Ziegler bothered Boogie.
yeah. I mean, I think Ziegler probably had more, maybe more control over the offense.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I mean, I was perfectly fine with Boogie. Just didn't get any help. I mean, he obviously could have shot. He could have hit a few more shots, and I mean, maybe you could argue he needs to get in there and deliver the ball better to guys. But I mean, he didn't turn the ball over a lot. He was one of the only guys that could consistently score, even though I mean,
Him and Wagner. I thought Wagner played pretty well.
yeah, he had, Boogie had a 7 game. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like
Yeah.
fine. What did he end up with? 14 points?
Let's see.
Well, just even watching them, I was thinking to myself because they say Boogie's like one of the guys that's going to go to the NBA as a point guard or whatever.
Yeah.
And when you watch him, it's like, well, first off, he's playing behind by 15 points.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot easier to be a point guard when you're sitting on a lead and you can just kind of do what you want instead of what you have to do. But I think Boogie's he's definitely, I'd take him over. I think he's better than him.
Yeah.
I think
I mean,
Boogie is
so Boogie.
skill-wise.
I mean, Boogie had 12 points. It's funny that this is good. So Boogie had 12 and Ziegler had 12. So there you go.
Yeah, and like I
Um,
said, 12 from your point guard, it's obviously not like a game that they're gonna, be like, oh wow. But it's an okay game, especially like I said, since like a lot of the times he was just having to put his head down. We weren't getting help from the guys we needed help from. Like Theoro was the most noticeable, but
Yeah.
but really, I mean, Nelly obviously didn't really hard do anything out there. Knox, except for the 2 threes, really
Yeah.
was not. I mean, really nobody showed up. Even Adu, like, didn't really play that good. And actually, that might be one of the things that I am still worried about. That I've been worried about is I wish we could throw it down in the post to a guy that everybody is afraid of when he gets within 8 feet of the basket because he's got footwork and moves and he's going to put it in there, over his shoulder, up and under. Like you're like, oh man, we got to double that guy. And I mean, a dude didn't really do much. I mean, he's very good, solid on defense, and he's great at the screening. I mean, he really helps free up the guards.
Yeah.
But offensively, we had nothing really going on down low. And Brazil, I mean, he didn't really play very good or very bad. He had a turnover. He didn't box out a couple of times, but yeah, really, I mean, other than that, I don't even know how we didn't lose that by more, honestly.
Yeah.
With the amount of second chance, I mean, every possession, it felt like every possession they got 3. If you include the ball would go up. If you include the tap that almost went in, and then them getting the rebound and kicking it out, they must have had 2.7 possession or shots on every possession.
Well, this is why I'm talking. This is why I started by saying like it's not like we were talking a long time here, but it's pretty simple. Which was like we got it like the ball. We didn't shoot the ball well enough, right? So like the ball needed to go in more, and We didn't rebound well enough. That's it. Like the what? It's not like we gave up 100 points. It's not like we gave up 90 points. It's not like we gave up 80 points. Like what? The defense was fine. Like your defense was good enough, but you got to rebound better than that, and you got to make more shots. Like that's really what it comes down to.
And Tennessee's defense, it looked to me like they were like, we're going to try to, we don't want to let them shoot. Obviously, nobody wants to let anyone shoot, but they were focused on not letting Thoreau and those guys go downhill in the paint. And if you look, there was always, when somebody got inside the 3-point line, they were looking at 3.5 jerseys.
Mhm.
And to be fair to them, we didn't get as many open looks as you would like if they're playing that kind of defense because Tennessee's really good. But we didn't capitalize on the ones that we did get. And I mean, it's a little bit on the Florida. To me, it looked like Florida and Kentucky when we watched that game. I mean, they couldn't. They were doing a similar thing, but they were trying to rush out onto those threes, and Kentucky's just did not miss
Yeah.
those opportunities. I mean, the defense wasn't as good as Tennessee's defense, but I think like Kentucky's going to. If I'm a Kentucky fan, I feel very good about the team that they have, even though you're like, yes, Kentucky does not play strong defense, but and they're going to lose. They're going to have a game where they have a bad shooting night, and they're going to get beat by 25 for sure. That's going to happen. But I wouldn't panic if I were them. I mean, you're going to hope that doesn't happen in one of the tournament games, but which it probably will. I mean, usually a good defense. I mean, eventually, I think Kentucky will get beat. They will die by the sword of not playing good enough defense to a team that plays defense on a night where they don't shoot the ball that well. But even this season, when that does happen and they get beat by 25 because they go 2 for 15 and from the 3-point line in one of the halves, I wouldn't panic if I were them because they've proven that they are good enough that they are choosing to, we're going to outscore you, and they can do it.
Yeah.
We are, I mean, not that we're not capable of it, but we're going to have to play smarter ball. Like that's not our game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, thanks for joining us on the pod, bro.
Yes, it was great.
Yeah, it was so good. It would have been way more exciting if we'd
It's a good
won.
one because no one's going to watch it. I mean, we're gonna have 200 Arkansas fans and 2,000 Kentucky fans watch this.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
No, maybe you'll be like streaming over there though. Like they'll make memes out of it for you.
Yeah,
The Kentucky fans won't actually watch it though. They'll watch the first 2 minutes and then comment and then leave.
Oh.
I didn't see that. They didn't
share
do
it
that
to
part.
share it to a friend.
Hey, if you're a Kentucky fan and you saw that part right there, then you can say, "Hey, no, I heard you say that we weren't going to watch it all. I watched it all." And if that's the case, thank you. You helped the algorithm. I like it. All right, we'll be back after the Ole Miss game on Wednesday. Thanks, guys. See you.